What is going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics, and we are going to cover Ms. Marvel Volume 1. And the reason why is because, as y'all know, the new Ms. Marvel TV show came out on Disney+. And even though the show is doing a lot of things different from the comics, I still want to go ahead and sit down and cover this story because just in case fans watch the TV show and want to come over and read her comics, they will have a better idea of who the character actually is rather than the TV show. But either way, if you enjoyed today's comic book video, hit that like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. So getting right into Ms. Marvel #1, we actually pick up with Kamala Khan. Now the opening pages is really more of giving us an idea who is going to be around the character throughout these books. So for example, Bruno, her best guy best friend, Nakia, her best female or girl best friend, and then you also have two characters who are very popular in their high school, Zoe Zimmer and Josh. Those last two characters may seem like they're not going to be important, but actually they're going to be very important down the road. But the opening pages are really just us getting an idea of who is Kamala Khan and who are the characters around her that affect her life, are going to affect her life down the road. And so then we get a page that explains who is Ms. Marvel, who is Kamala Khan. And so we learn right off the bat that Kamala Khan, she loves superheroes, especially the Avengers. But her main hero she loves is Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, because at this point in Marvel Comics, Carol Danvers no longer goes by Ms. Marvel. She now goes by Captain Marvel. Then we get into the family, and I honestly like this a whole lot because you're also learning the culture for Kamala Khan, but at the same time, you're still learning about the supporting characters that is going to be around her throughout these books. So for example, her family, her father Yusuf, her mother, I'm going to mispronounce this name, Muniba, and her brother Amir. Either way, I still like this because it's given us an idea what the family are like around Kamala Khan. But either way though, you do have Kamala Khan ask her father Yusuf if she can go to a high school party that Josh, the guy we met earlier, is throwing. Now her parents are strict but also very protective. And they tell her no, you can't go because there's boys and alcohol. Why in the world would I let you go to that? But of course, Kamala Khan does get upset because her dad says no and does not want to eat dinner and goes back to her room. Now, like most teenagers, and I said most, not all, you have Kamala Khan actually sneak out of the house to go to this party. Now, once she gets there, of course, she goes directly to the popular crowd, Zoe and Josh and their friends, because again, they are the two popular characters in this book right now. But of course, when she gets there, they're kind of like teasing her and also making fun of her because who she is and what her culture is like. And so of course, now she's upset because she snuck out, she came to this party, and no one is treating her correctly at all. They're all mean to her except her guy best friend, who is Bruno. Because Bruno is, I want to say, a year or two older than Kamala Khan, but Bruno is there. He's like, why are you here, Kamala? You know that I know that your parents would not allow you to be here. You need to go back home because this party is full of jockheads and cheerleaders. Just go ahead and go home. Of course, she is upset at Bruno for kind of acting like this guardian. And so that is when she walks away. But right when she walks away, that is when the Terrican Ms. hits her and everyone else around her. And I'm going to explain what is the Terrigen Mist. So to explain the Terrigen Mist, I need to tell you right now, it is heavily tied into the Inhumans. The Inhumans are another sub-race on Earth. You have mutants, you have humans, and then you have the Inhumans. Now the Inhumans, they do have powers just like mutants, except for their powers to activate, they must be hit with the mist and then go through a process to activate their powers. Now here's the thing though, for a long time in the early days of Marvel Comics, the Inhumans did not use the mist so freely. It was only used for certain people here and there. But thanks to the Infinity event, the mist was sent out all over the world as a cloud. And of course, with that thing being a cloud now, it was able to hit more people more oftenly, and of course, unlocking more Inhumans across the world. And so with that being said, when this mist or this cloud actually hit Kamala Khan, it unlocked her Inhuman genes, making her an Inhuman right off the bat and unlocking her powers. Now, she does begin to see things like Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and Captain America all being there in front of her, and she is confused because she has no idea why these three characters are right here in front of her right now. Of course, they're not really there, but this moment is really more of her talking to herself and realizing the mistake she made, which was sneaking out of her parents' house to go to that party only because she wants to fit in with the popular kids, but also because she feels like she is not normal, or she's not living a normal life because she grew up here in New Jersey, but her family keep pushing their culture on her and she does not like that. But either way, you have the fake or spirit. Captain Marvel asks her, what does she want to be in life? And you have Kamala Khan tell this Captain Marvel, I want to be just like you. I want to be like you, a hero, a strong person. And again, remember, when it comes to Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan looks at her as her idol, someone she looks up to. Except after going through that moment where she began to see things, that is when she wakes up, she breaks out of her cocoon, meaning that her powers are now activated. But once she's out of that cocoon, that is the moment she realized that she now looks like Carol Danvers when Carol Danvers was still Miss Marvel, but also her body is somewhat stretched out, meaning that she's beginning to learn what her powers are, which right now she cannot control, but of course throughout this book she'll learn how to control it. So we do jump over to Miss Marvel number 2, where we actually pick up with Kamala Khan trying to control her powers, because like most heroes, when they first get their powers, they have a hard time controlling their powers. And so this is Kamala Khan trying to figure out how her powers work, trying to get it under her control because she wants to look normal before someone sees her and cause a scene. Of course, you do have Kamala Khan being able to control her powers, but that is the moment she realized that the mist, the Terrigen Mist that she was just hit with, did not just hit her area of the city, it hit all over the city. And matter of fact, she sees somebody flying towards the mist. Now it could be Iron Man, Captain Marvel, anybody who wears red in their outfit, it could be them flying towards the mist, but we have no idea who. But then we get into Kamala Khan's first heroic moment. And of course, she has to save the person who was just picking on her, which is Zoe Zimmer. Now, Zoe is not by herself. Zoe is actually with Josh on the dock. But because Josh is so drunk and because he kept moving her around all over the place, Zoe actually falls into the water. And because Zoe cannot swim, that means Kamala Khan has to save her. Also because Josh is drunk and he can't get in the water. But either way, you have Kamala Khan use her newfound powers as a way to save Zoe Zimmer. Now, when it comes to Kamala Khan and her abilities, she's able to shapeshift but also stretch her body. And so she does make her hand really big. She does change her appearance to look like Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers Miss Marvel, and she's able to save Zoe Zimmer from drowning in the water. And of course, it's a huge thing for them, but also it's her realizing, oh my gosh, I just used my powers to save this person who I don't really like, but at the same time, I have powers. I can be a hero. But then she has to leave because she still does not know how to fully control her powers just yet. But then you have Kamala Khan realize how serious it is to be a hero, but also how great it is to be a hero. Yes, she feels happy that she was the one to save Zoe, not because she saved Zoe, this popular kid, but because she did something heroic. She saved someone from drowning in the water, which is great. But at the same time, she also realized that there is a lot of pressure being a hero. It's very tiring. There's so much you have to do, especially if you're a teenage superhero. But either way, you have Kamala Khan realize that it's probably best for her to go ahead and head home before her parents wake up and realize that she snuck out of the house. So of course she does head back home. Now of course, when she tries to sneak into her house, her powers are still wonky, meaning that she's unable to fully control her powers. So her body's kind of stretched out a tad bit, but also she still looks like Carol Danvers' Ms. Marvel. And so when she tries to sneak in and tries to be quiet, with her being clumsy and her powers not working properly, she makes too much noise. Her brother walks in and she's freaking out because she thinks she still looks like Carol Danvers' Ms. Marvel, only to find out her powers turned off. She looks normal and it's kind of like awkward moment. Now, this is Kamala Khan thinking that maybe her parents did not know that she snuck out. But then you have her brother say, oh no, they know you snuck out and they are right behind me and they are very, very upset that you snuck out. And so, of course, it does lead to her mom being the one yelling the most and walking off angry. And then her dad's like, you're grounded. You can only go to school and then come back home. And that is it. You are not allowed to go anywhere else at all. So, of course, she's now a grounded superhero teenager. But this is her realizing that maybe she could be more in life than just a regular girl in New Jersey. That maybe she could be a hero. So when we jump over to Ms. Marvel number 3, we come to find out that New Jersey knows about her now. Now, they don't know that Kamala Khan is actually Ms. Marvel. All they know is that there is someone out there who looked like Ms. Marvel, and she just saved a teenager who almost drowned at the docks. Of course, that would be Zoe Zimmer. But either way, though, this makes Kamala Khan very worried. She's like, oh my gosh, Zoe told everyone, her friends told everyone, that there's some new superhero out in New Jersey. What am I going to do? Because she's afraid sooner or later they're going to figure out the new hero is her. But then at the same time, we get introduced to a new character, which is Bruno's brother. And so then we pick up with Kamala Khan being forced to go to her youth Saturday church service. Now, when she gets there, of course, she does not like it. Now, I'm not going to sit down and try to explain what this service is like because personally, I do not know much about the culture. And so I do not want to offend anyone at all. But either way, though, this is Kamala Khan, somebody who really does not feel close to her culture. She is trying to move away from the culture. But either way, though, you do have Nakia, one of her close friends, say, listen, I tried to text you 5 times and I got no answers. What happened last night? Matter of fact, let's leave. Let's go somewhere else and talk because I want to know if you are okay. And so you have Nakia take Kamala Khan to Bruno's shop. Bruno works at a 7-Eleven, whatever. Now, this is the moment where we actually learn that Bruno was the one who called up Kamala's parents after the party. Because remember, she went to that party, she saw Bruno there, but then she left. And so he got worried for her and he called her parents. And so that is how her parents found out that she was at the party. But also the fact now, Kamala Khan does not like her friend Bruno. She is very upset that he actually called her parents and told them where she was at. Now, of course, the next section is really more of Kamala Khan trying to go through school normally, because now she has powers and she has to make sure that her powers do not go out of control again, because she wants to make sure no one knows that she was the one at the docks that night using her powers to save Zoe. At the same time though, again, we are introduced to the brother to Bruno, and his name is Vic. Vic is going to be somewhat important for this video and the next one too, I want to say. But either way though, you do have Kamala Khan trying to live a normal life, a normal school day. But of course, her powers do activate. And when she tries to hide from different school groups because her powers are now going out of control, that leads up to her actually destroying a locker room for the girls, because her powers made her stretch out, grow so big, all that stuff. So the roof is damaged, the lockers are damaged, the bench, whatever in that locker room is all damaged. And so of course, when the coach walks in, she's like, yo, what happened here? And Kamala Khan has no good excuse at all. But either way, you have the coach say, well, you now have detention now. And so after detention, Kamala Khan does get a text from Bruno, and it's him asking if they can finally talk, because he really has no idea why she is mad at him. Honestly, he should know why she's mad at him, but you do have Kamala Khan say, it's not fair for me to be mad at him. So yes, I'll go talk to Bruno. Now, with her saying that, she does go to Bruno's job, that corner 7-Eleven, wherever he works at. But either way, when she gets there, she sees someone else in a mask and with a gun. And so of course, she assumes that this means Bruno is being held up at gunpoint, and she begins to freak out. Now, this is why I say Vic, the brother to Bruno, is going to be very important, because this is Vic. Vic is the one who's holding up his own brother's shop at gunpoint because he needs $100. That is it. Because of course, we come to find out that he is working for someone called the Inventor. Yes, the Inventor. That's the bad guy we're going to meet very soon here. Now, of course, you do have Kamala Khan realize, hey, I have powers. I should probably use my powers as a way to actually, save my friend Bruno from this guy with the gun. She has no idea the guy with the gun is actually Vic. And so she does use her powers to change her appearance. She walks right into the shop and she begins the process to actually stopping Vic. Now, for Bruno, he has no idea this is Kamala Khan, because once again, she changed her appearance to look like Carol Danvers as Ms. Marvel. But either way though, after a few pages where it seems that maybe she has everything under control and everything is going to be all right, that is the moment Vic Guns goes off and actually shoots her right in the stomach. And it's like, oh my gosh. Will she die right here? Now, after being shot, we jump over to Ms. Marvel number 4. And this actually is very huge because we learn a tad bit more about Kamala Khan's new powers. And also, this is a big moment for Bruno because you have Bruno freaking out. He's like, oh my gosh, there's a hero that has been shot. He tells his brother Vic to go ahead and leave because if the cops show up, Vic is going to go to jail. But also he's freaking out because there's now a superhero bleeding out in his store. But either way, this is the moment where you have Kamala Khan decided when Vic is gone to turn back into her regular self, to look like her usual Kamala Khan self. And that's when Bruno looks over and says, oh my God, you have powers. And like I said, this is a big moment because Bruno is the first person who learns about Kamala Khan's powers. And like I said, this is a big moment because this is the moment where you actually have Kamala Khan show that she has an healing factor, which is very huge to see. But also this is the moment where you actually have Kamala Khan explain to Bruno where her powers came from. And we know where it came from. It came from the Terrican Ms. And so she kind of tells them that. But either way, you have the two of them realize they have to worry about that later because remember, Bruno called the cops, said someone got shot. So of course the cops have arrived and that means Kamala Khan must once again change before they walk in. And this leads into a funny moment because this is the moment where you have Kamala Khan realize that she can't just change her body to what she wants it to be, because once again, she's healing. And so with her body healing, that means her other powers can't work. She can't change her appearance. She can't change the size of her body. She just has to heal up, which of course is a bad thing happening right now because the cops are about to walk in. And so you have Bruno hand Kamala Khan some kind of night mask. You know, the night mask that some folks wear at night to sleep in, to basically cover up her face. So when the cops walk in, they're like, hey, we heard a hero got shot. What happened? And Kamala Khan does use a tad bit of her powers behind this mask to say, listen, everything's okay. Yes, I'm that hero. If you don't believe me, here's my powers. Y'all can leave. And of course, the cops do leave after that. But then you have Bruno and Kamala Khan want to know, where in the world did Vic get the gun from? But also the fact, who is this Inventor guy? Remember, Vic told Bruno that he is working for some guy known as the Inventor. And so you actually have Bruno and Kamala Khan realize they actually need to help out Vic before he gets into more trouble. The problem is Kamala Khan does not have a superhero costume just yet, which means we're about to get a superhero costume scene before she is able to actually help Vic out. And so of course we see her go back home to begin the process of creating her first costume. But here's the problem, her mom is still mad at her. Remember, she is grounded for sneaking out earlier in our video. And so her mom is like, you're still grounded, I'm still mad at you. And here you are at 10 o'clock at night looking for old clothes. You're not going anywhere. And if you try to sneak out one more time, I am going to get really upset with you, darling. So honestly, do not do anything you're going to regret. I will check up on you at 1 o'clock. And so it's like, oh my gosh, her mom is going to make sure her daughter is at home. And this is the moment where we actually see Kamala Khan being a hero. And what I mean by that is we actually see her go to a random house because Bruno got word that Vic has been staying at this house or been going to the house a lot lately, and also got word that Vic could be possibly being held hostage at this house. But either way, you have Kamala Khan actually go to this house in her first superhero costume and begin the process of beating up some henchmen, beating up some robots just to get to Vic. But honestly, this is the first time we get to see Ms. Marvel trying to be a hero, trying to do the right thing, trying to learn how she should handle different kinds of situations. But either way, once she gets to Vic and thinks that she is about to leave, that is when she is confronted by the person who is in charge or second in charge, whatever, of this house that Vic's been going to. No, this is not the Inventor, but this is one of the top dogs of the Inventor, who's there saying, listen, I run this house and you're not going anywhere with Vic. But then we jump over to Ms. Marvel number 5. And honestly, it picks up where the last issue left off at. So we do get the chance to see Ms. Marvel have her first big superhero fight against this character who says he works for the Inventor, but kind of like one of the top dogs. His name is Doyle, but honestly, who cares? Either way, you do have Doyle begin to battle against Ms. Marvel. And this battle is honestly pretty cool because it's Ms. Marvel realizing that you can be a hero, but you're going to have to learn how to be a hero, meaning that you just can't jump right into being a hero and thinking that you are easily going to be able to win battles. You're going to have some losses, big and small ones, and of course this one will be her first loss because she does get overwhelmed by all the robots and Doyle, who's holding some kind of laser gun, and so she has to leave Vic behind tonight just so she can recover and think of a new plan on how she's going to save Vic. And so you have Kamala Khan go back home. But remember, Kamala Khan's mother said that she will check up on Kamala Khan at 1 o'clock in the morning, meaning that she'll make sure that Kamala Khan did not sneak out again. Of course, with Kamala Khan coming home, it's 1:05. That means her mom had already came by and checked up on her. But for Kamala Khan, she thinks that her mom must have overslept past her alarm and she is okay. Of course, by the morning, her mom comes in angry and upset because she knows her daughter once again snuck out. Now, you have the father come in and say, listen, you two just calm down. Let me have a conversation with my daughter one-on-one. And honestly, I like this moment so much because this is the moment where you have the dad explain to Kamala Khan that she is his daughter. And that is why he's overprotective, why he cares so much for her, because he tells her, listen, you were a miracle child. The doctors told us after your brother, we could not have any more children. And that was hard for us to hear. And then here you come into the world. And that made you even more special to us. And your name, Kamala, actually means perfection in our language. And so for Kamala Khan's father, had a hard time there. Kamala Khan's father, he's like, I care for you because you are a miracle child. You are my daughter. And we live in the world where girls have so much more pressure than they did in the past in my time. And so I want to make sure you're always okay. And of course, he's like, you're still grounded, but hey, I love you. Bye. And he leaves. But once we get past that moment, that leads us into the moment where we get the training montage, where of course you have Kamala Khan go back to Bruno and say, listen, I need your help making a cool super suit, but also getting some training in. So I'll be ready to take back on Doyle and his crew of robots to save Vic. And so we do see Bruno and Kamala Khan work together, working on her costume, working on some training sessions. But of course, after a few pages, she's done training. She is ready to go. She is ready to go back in there, fight against Doyle, and actually be able to save Vic from Doyle and his crazy robots. And this moment right here is honestly pretty cool. I actually like this because once she gets back to Doyle's house to save Vic, and she is able to actually sneak in, fight against the robots, take care of the robots, and take care of Doyle just to be able to save Vic. I honestly like this moment so much because it's Marvel saying, listen, she is a hero, but she's a new hero, a new teenage superhero, and she has to learn the ropes to actually be a superhero. And so we're not going to give her some big bad guy for her first big fight. She has to work her way up to that bad guy or to a different bad guy. But either way, after a few pages of her fighting against the robots and fighting against Doyle, she's honestly able to save Vic and get the heck out of there. And so for her first adventure, Ms. Marvel is actually able to save somebody's life and be a hero. And after that, that is the moment where you actually have Kamala Khan tell New Jersey that they have their own hero. And the reason why I say that is because when Bruno actually walks up to his old store, somebody put some kind of 6-foot-tall doll in front of his store as a way to say a message that New Jersey has their own hero. And then you have Kamala Khan appear, but in her complete Miss Marvel outfit, and says she is going to be around and she is going to be the hero for New Jersey, and leaves. But to close on this video, we actually pick up with Doyle one more time, and this time we see Doyle actually walking to some random house. And the reason why, because he is going to meet up with the inventor to explain why he failed in keeping Vic as a hostage. And that is the moment we get our first look at the inventor. And honestly, he looks ridiculous as Mess, but hey, he is the big bad guy behind everything going on in New Jersey. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please hit that like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. Later, guys.